Now, to begin this process, I need to ask you 3 questions, and I need you to answer these questions honestly. I believe that breakthrough is awaiting you in this process, but your breakthrough will be dependent upon your willingness to answer these questions. Your willingness and your ability to answer these 3 questions. First question is, what do you want? What do you want? And when I ask you what you want, I'm asking you, what is your dream, or what is your ultimate desire? Now, you're here because you either want to break a bad habit or establish a good habit. Probably you want to do both. Probably you got some bad habit that you want to kick, and you got some good habit that you want to espouse. The question is why? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you hoping will happen? What is your dream? Now, if you answer that question by saying, I don't know, we have already located one of the major reasons why your attempts to change in the past have failed miserably. Because you want to break a bad habit, but you don't know why. You want to change something in your life, you're just not sure you want to change it. Oftentimes we try to change, but we try to change for all the wrong reasons. Maybe you're a husband who's trying to lose some weight, but the reason you're trying to lose some weight is because your wife told you you need to lose some weight. It can't be because, my mom says that I should change, or my pastor thinks that I should do this. If your reasoning is for somebody else, if you're wanting to make the change for somebody else, you're missing the core of your motivation. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong to be selfless about your change. Yes, you got to think of your family. You got to think of the impact upon your family and upon your loved ones. However, that's got to be your dream. My dream is to better myself so that I can love my wife better. My dream is to better myself so that I can love my child better. My dream is to better myself so I can serve God better. If you are here because somebody else told you that you need to change, but you are not personally convinced, that is, you don't have a dream of what's on the other side of that change, you see, any change that you make in your life must be in service of a dream. And if the change that you intend to make is not in service of any dream, it's not a change worth making. And not only is it not a change worth making, if it's not in service of a dream, it will ultimately fail, because ultimately it's going to lack a why. Every change needs a why, and there's so much more we have to say about that. But we need to start with why. We need to start this process with, why do you want to change? If there's a bad habit you want to break, why do you want to break it? In other words, what can happen for you on the other side of that change? What do you hope will happen for you on the other side of the change? Now, this is the key. We're so afraid of dreaming. Part of that is, this whole myth of, well, you got to be realistic. Get your head out of the clouds. No, I don't want you to be realistic right now. I don't want you to try to get your head out of the clouds. I want you to start with a bold vision for your future. And I want you to be bold about it. Like if you need to lose 100 pounds, I don't want you to be wishy-washy and say, oh, well, maybe I'll try to lose 25 and then, I'll see if I can push it from there to 30 and then, maybe. No. If you need to lose 100 pounds, I want you to start by saying, I want to lose 100 pounds. I want you to be completely honest about what you actually want. And I want you to be authentic in that you allow yourself, you authorize yourself fully to want what you want on the other side of this change. Now, another caveat to this piece of the puzzle is that oftentimes people feel like, I hear people say a lot, I don't know what I want yet. I just don't know. I'm not sure what I want. I don't know what I want. A lot of times in life, we're like standing at McDonald's and looking at the menu and like, I don't know. You're looking at the menu of life and you're not sure what you want. Let me tell you something. Your desire is not something that you are to discover. It's something that you are to determine. First things first, you have authority over your desires. You must determine your desire. Before we go any further in this course, you must determine your desire, because if you do not successfully determine your desire, if you think that your desire is somehow going to float down out of the sky, it's going to be revealed to you in a vision, no. Your destiny gets revealed to you. Your desire is something you determine. This is what I want. And stop worrying about it. Is it the right desire? Is it the wrong desire? What do you want? Do you want a better marriage? If you want a better marriage, is that what you want on the other side of this change? then say that. But be specific about it. I want you to be bold and specific about what you want. I want you to be absolutely bold and specific about it. Don't be vague. To the best of your knowledge right now. Now, don't worry. We're going to hone this. We're going to develop this. This desire is going to be purified. We're going to put it through the ringer. But you've got to start somewhere. And I want you to start with where you are right now. In other words, if you write down, I want to lose 100 pounds, maybe you'll get to pound 60 and realize that's all you need to lose. But I don't want that to stop you from saying today, I want to lose 100 pounds, right? If you want to stop fighting with your wife, if you want to kick your pornography addiction, whatever it is that you're trying to change, I want you to identify what's on the other side of that thing. What do you want? And allow yourself to dream about it. For some of you, this isn't going to be something you can do instantaneously. You're going to have to take an evening and allow yourself to dream and ask yourself the question, if you were not afraid, if you were not ashamed, if you were not frustrated, if you knew no one would laugh at you for saying it, what would you want? What would you want? If there was no fear, if there was no intimidation, if you knew that you would not be judged for wanting it, if you knew that you would not be called prideful or arrogant or accused of anything like that, what would you want? So I want you to stop, and I just want, to the best of your ability right now, I want you to write it in the space provided in your workbook there. Answer that question. What do you want? All right, we're going to ask a second question now. The second question is, what do you need to kill in order to pursue what you want? Now, this is where we hone in on the one bad habit. I want you to try to focus in on one bad habit. One behavioral pattern that hinders you from having what you want, that hinders you even from pursuing what you want. You say, I could pursue what I want with reckless abandon if only I could stop doing, saying, going to this. What would that thing be? What is the giant that is standing in the way of your destiny? What is the giant that you have to slay, that you have to kill in order to have your dream? If you can identify that thing. Now, I don't want you to write 5 things in the blank or 10 things in the blank, because you can't kill 10 giants at once. I want you to hone in on one thing. If you could pick one thing, try to hone in on the central thing that needs to change. And once again, we're going to hone this, we're going to develop this, we're going to, this might tweak for you at some point in this process, but you got to start somewhere. I want you to start here at this place where you're bold about it and say, I want to kick this. I want to kill this. I want to put this thing to death. If I could put this thing to death, I could pursue this thing. And if I could pursue this thing, I could have this dream, right? Okay? So take a minute, to the best of your ability, write that in the blank. All right, now we're ready for the third question. And the third question is, this is a little bit tough one. This is going to require some honesty and some transparency on your behalf. And notice you're by yourself, so this is you being transparent with yourself. The question is, what happens if you don't kill this giant? What are the ramifications of not killing this giant? What happens if it's an unhealthy lifestyle that you want to break so that you can pursue a dream of perfect health in a variety of ways? What happens if you don't kill that giant? What happens if you're unsuccessful? This is key. This is so important, because without this third question, the change that you intend to make is an option. It's a hope. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I believe that if you are desperate enough to come watch this video right now, to sign up for this class, to even come to this page and watch this video up to this point, if you were desperate enough to get to this point, I would be willing to bet that the change that you need to make in your life is an absolute must. That you have been procrastinating. Maybe you've been falling and getting up and falling and getting up and falling and getting up. But if you would actually face yourself and actually take a minute to ponder the reality of the situation, it's probably in some senses do or die. Now, let me qualify that by saying, I had to come to this place, and I'm going to share my story with you in a minute. But for me, what this looked like was realizing that if I didn't get my health in order, I was going to die. If I didn't get my health in order, I was going to die. That's the point that I realized. The consequences of not making this change is I'm going to die. And it might not be today, and it might not be in 1 year. It might not be in 3 years, but it's also definitely not going to be in 30 or 40 years. The reality was, if I didn't make a change before my daughter graduated high school, probably, or college, she would be standing over my casket and she would be weeping for the loss of her father. That was the reality that I had to face, that I was running from, that I was trying to pretend wasn't true. And it was when I faced that reality full on, once I had that realization and realized I couldn't run from it anymore, that was already the beginning of my change. Even though I still didn't have the motivation that I needed, I still didn't have the willpower. I still lacked that resolve and that vigilance that I needed to actually change my life. But the moment I faced the reality of what happens if I don't change it, already I didn't know it, but the tide had already turned towards victory. Maybe you're watching this and you're saying, if I don't make this change, my marriage is over. If I don't make this change, I'm going to fail out of school. If I don't make this change, I'm going to lose my job, and I'll probably never get another one. If I don't make this change, I'm going to go from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, and I'll never get anywhere. If I don't make this change, whatever it is, you need to face it, and maybe you need to stop and ask the Lord to show you what's on the other side if you don't make this change. All right? So I'm going to give you a minute. I want you to just write that down and be as honest as you possibly can in this moment. What happens if you don't make this change? Now, if you've taken the time to answer all three of those questions honestly and forthrightly, I want to commend you right now, because number one, that's very brave of you. Number two, you've just done the foundational work that we're going to build upon in this process. You've already just poured the foundation. This is your why. And we're going to come back to this again and again and again. There's a lot that we have to build on this. There's a lot of layers. But I believe that somewhere along the way, if you keep moving in this process, the willpower that you need and the motivation that you need is going to kick in, and your life is going to change, and your life will change forever. Now, first thing I want to say is, I'm no better than you are. I'm no greater than you are. Some people look at me and say, you must have amazing willpower. Actually, I do not. I'm actually creating this course, in a sense, to preach to myself. And I say that because I am in the middle of a life transformation. Now, to give you a little background, when I was in high school, I was the skinny kid in the school. I graduated high school at 135 pounds, same height I am now, 5'9.5", almost 5'10" tall. 135 pounds. You know how skinny that is. All the kids in my school made fun of me in high school, and the big joke was Benjamin and his two brothers. My two brothers were both very skinny as well. They're poor and they don't get to eat. As kids would draw pictures of us on milk cartons. I mean, it was really bad. The torment, the ridicule. And so starting in high school, I did everything I could to escape that stigma of being skinny. And in high school, I did two things. One, I lifted weights like crazy. I worked out like crazy. And two, I ate And I ate. I would do stuff like, I would take like 12 slices of bread, fry them in butter, and just pour syrup over it and eat that in a tall glass of whole milk. I mean, I was doing everything I could. I was carbo loading. I was taking weight gainer shakes, and I was working out like a monster. I was doing everything I could. No matter what, I couldn't gain weight. And part of it was I was playing basketball 4 to 5 hours a day. But then I got to college, and when I got to college, I stopped exercising because I had to wear a shirt and tie to school every day. And I replaced exercise with prayer. I spent like 4 hours a day in prayer, and I spent another four or so hours a day studying and going to classes. And so from morning to night, I was studying and praying and hanging out with my fellow students and going to class. The problem was I didn't stop eating the way I had trained myself to eat in high school. So my freshman year of college, I gained 30 pounds or 35 pounds, something like that. And then I gained another 30 my sophomore year, and then another 20 my junior, and then another 20 my senior year. I gained a total of 95 pounds in my 4 years of college. So I went from 135 pounds to 230 pounds in 4 years. Needless to say, that was pretty concerning. But from that time, which was 1998 when I graduated college, until 2019, I struggled with my weight. Once I got over 200 pounds, I never looked back. I remember when I was 21 years old, first year of seminary, I went to the doctor because we were going on a mission trip, and I had to get a physical and I had to get my blood work done. And the doctor told me, if you don't do something about your weight and your health, you're looking at a lot of trouble within 10 years. He said, I'm really concerned because you're only 21 years old, but your glycerides are high, your blood pressure is high, your blood sugar is high. All of these different things are out of whack. Your cholesterol is high, and you're only 21 years old. You need to get your life in order, and you need to get on the ball, or else by the time you're 31 years old, you're going to be in trouble. And so I said, okay. That wasn't urgent enough at that time in my life. 10 years, I'm like, I got plenty of time. I got 10 years before this stuff starts to kick in. By the time I was 27 years old, only 6 years later, my doctor started me on blood pressure medication. And that was after a couple of years, maybe 2 years of her trying to get me on it, and I resisted. And then in 2016, I collapsed in the middle of a church service, had major vertigo symptoms, was rushed to emergency, was hospitalized for 5 days, and my blood pressure was out of control for that entire 5 days, and they couldn't do anything to fix it. They gave me all these different medications, and they couldn't fix my blood pressure. Now, I walked away from that experience when when my blood pressure finally stabilized and the vertigo lifted and I was fine, knowing that my poor health was partly the culprit for what was going on here. But even still, knowing in my heart I need to make a change here, I still couldn't find the motivation to do it. But for the next 3 years, really, there was this growing awareness in me that this was coming to a head, and that at a certain point it was going to be do or die for me. Then in the fall of 2018, October 31st, 2018, in the middle of the night, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I felt funny and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I tried to stand up and just kind of walk it off, but I ended up collapsing and couldn't get off the floor. My wife had to call 911. I was rushed to the emergency room. My blood pressure was 220 something over 180 something. It was out of control. And once again, the vertigo was back and my blood pressure's out of control. And I went home knowing at this point, okay, this is my health, because by this time I was 240 pounds. And my doctor was saying that my blood pressure was not controlled by the medication that I'd been on for 15 years already. And I was hospitalized again in January 2019. I just had a bad stomach flu, but all of a sudden I'm having chest pains and I'm hospitalized again, and my blood pressure's out of control once again. So when I came home from the hospital in January 2019, that's when I became desperate. That's when I knew, okay, I'm gonna die. And the people around me, my loved ones, were feeling it. It was like I'm living way too close to death, needlessly close to death. My wife felt it, my mother felt it, my father felt it, some of our church members felt it, and people were saying things to me like, Pastor Benjamin, your physical health is my number one concern. If there's anything I'm concerned about right now, it's your physical health. My wife was saying things to me like, do you know what happens if you die? Do you realize that if you die, Alethea grows up without a father? Do you realize that if you die, Living Hope doesn't have a pastor? Do you realize if you die, I don't have a husband? Do you realize the pain that you will cause people if you let yourself die? And I knew it. And every night I would lay awake at night. I'd say, God, you got to help me change. And I got to do this different. And I would even promise myself, tomorrow I'm going to do it different. Tomorrow I'm going to start my change tomorrow. And I would wake up in the morning, and before 8 a.m., I would find myself falling right back into the same pattern, eating the same things, drinking the same things. And once I would fall at breakfast time, I'd fall back into the trap at lunchtime, fall back into the trap at dinner time. By nighttime, I'm eating ice cream and cookies, and no matter what, I couldn't figure out. And this is where I felt stupid. Like, shouldn't I be able to just do it? Like, what's wrong with me? And every night I cried out to God. Every night I cried out to God for the rest of January and for the rest of February and for half of March. And my cry was just, Lord, if you don't help me, I'm going to die, because I can't seem to change myself. And so I need you to change me. I need your help. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know how to fix me. I don't know why I have such little willpower. I don't know. And then on March 14th at 7:20 a.m., I get a call from a good friend of mine. He's a prophet. And he said, Benjamin, I had a dream this morning that you died. And he said, I'm calling to tell you that you need to get your life together, and you need to get your life together right now. I don't know what's going on in your life, but I need you to make a change right now. And you know, when he said that, something clicked on the inside of me. It was a combination of fear and resolve. I don't know why that moment was the moment, but that was the moment that something clicked on the inside of me. And that began a journey that led to, over the last 5 months, I've lost 43 pounds. 6 weeks into it, my doctor took me completely off of my blood pressure medication. I went in this morning for a blood pressure check. My blood pressure was 107/71. It's perfect. And along the way, I discovered the keys that I had been groping for the last 25 years, but couldn't find. And that's why I created this process. That's why I created this course. Because what I've discovered is that regardless of what kind of change you're longing to make, the mechanics of it are the same, and the dynamics of it are the same. And I truly believe with all of my heart that if you give yourself to this process, God's going to change your life. He's going to give you the self-control that you need to change your life. Let's go.